welcome to Intuitive Clarifications with Natasha. I am here very much loving to be here with you to give you guidance in how to negotiate things. And I'm so grateful to be a part of life here today in this energy that we are breaking so much into things. And I am sending you all love for where you're at and what you're doing, as I want you to know that I'm here as a perspective. I'm an intuitive medium. I know personally how to work through a lot of the 3D life emotions that we're going through right now, bringing forward into some understandings of how to just be you in the midst of all this crap going on right now. And that's one reason why I was kind of called. I was at one of my morning time. I work in elementary school, and I love doing that because it does kind of keep me in the 3D world of realities. And it was very interesting in how we were talking about something, and it was about, how can we be human? The teachers, it was teacher day, so it was part of that, getting back into the realities of school. And it was interesting how they were talking about how we're all human and how to put ourselves on the list. But, that was one thing then. And after a minute, I was like, oh my gosh, I got to talk about how life is like a book, a novel series. And I'm talking about a series because life is like after one thing comes another thing after another thing. And it's kind of like a series, a book series, book 1, book 2, book 3, book 4, book 5, book 6. And oh my gosh, we're going through so much things. And we're coming into, hi Kim, how are you doing? Happy to be here with you too. And it's like one of those things that it's like we're coming into. We just had this this new moon, and it was and now we're gonna. Or I'm kind of lost in the moons, and you'll have to excuse. My dyslexia has been so freaking triggered. My dyslexia has been so freaking triggered that it's been interesting. And how I got to get to start reading again, because oh my gosh, can I read right now? Yeah, I can read, but that like being in a group and them reading fast and me trying to integrate what they were saying and then bringing back some information that I was having. Oh my gosh, that the comprehension and all that kind of stuff, and my ADHD and all. I mean, it was like all those things, and I've been getting so much input that it's been hard once it gets through the ears and the eyes. I actually put earphones in or earplugs in when I went to a concert the other night, and it was a comedian show. But I had to put tissue in my ears because there was just so much stimulation, and that's reality right now. And so going into this, that's part of this, is life like a novel series, because we're really coming into breaking free of a lot of our things, and we're coming into this, oh my gosh, if you can get through with loving yourself better. Hello, Veronica. Loving yourself more with kindness through September, I'm going to give you a high five because there are so amazing breakthroughs that we can get through these eclipses and the moons. And then there's a planet going into retrograde, and I think it's Uranus. I can't look it up on my phone. My phone almost died. Uranus that's going into retrograde, and so we're having this dance of Mercury, the high brain, that knowing, that thinking, and going into Uranus, which is that lower brain of understanding and integrating, or flippy floppy, or whatever you want to call it. I was listening to my astrologer this morning, Janet Hickox, on living-astrology.com, that she's really good about interpreting the energies, and I just love her. And she was on this morning talking about September. And it was like, I knew things were going to change. I knew things were coming forward. Actually, I'm going to have a conversation with the man I love, because I'm going to tell him that, it's like, talk about being in Gemini and overthinking. It's going to be, we have to be careful of our rabbit holes. And I woke up this morning loving myself, and my subconscious actually was loving me, because I just woke up with this whole thing about how we all deserve to be seen, heard, and witnessed. We all deserve to be seen, heard, and witnessed, right? And I almost thought about changing my show about this because it was so impactful to me. And I know my loving husband, I've talked about him before, and I'm trying. I want you all to know he has become this wonderful man. This wonderful man. I mean, yesterday I got a heart at a 7-Eleven, and that's my birthday. So he gave me a heart on my time for my birthday, right? And so he's very thinking of me in many ways and loving me through things. But the thing is, though, he's a double Leo Libra. He has been an alcoholic since he's been 14. He is now 13 years sober. He's really trying to heal a lot of his things, but there's still this rabbit hole. And my life, I'm very spiritual. He watches Ancient Aliens. I tell him the answer before the TV comes on or before the TV tells him. He doesn't get me. I am so gray. I am so like out of the box. He is very black and white. He actually in school and even in the military, he was top of his class. Even if he didn't go to school, he was top of the class. I'm very dyslexic and ADHD. He doesn't get me. I'm gray to him. I'm very out of the box. And so he struggles in his logistic mind. We're all in each other's life for a reason, right? And I'm here to really help him understand that not everybody has to think like him, right? Because when somebody knows how to think, knows what to say, they don't think other people know how to think and say, right? Because that's their logisticsness. And that's that part of that narcissistic that we all have. We all have that narcissistic attitude. I'm an only child. I honestly have a little bit of it myself, that comes in to be a little bit more hurtful, I'm going to call it. Right. And so, I had this conversation this morning with myself about I deserve to be heard, seen, and witnessed. And I looked up the difference between being seen and witnessed. And this is going to come back to Is Life Like a Novel series, right? Because being seen is a spontaneous, I see you, I see me on the screen, I see. It's a derivative of the word see, I see. But witness means that you have gone through and really got what you see. Like when you are watching somebody go through a life-altering experience, you walk through that experience with them. That's part of witnessing. So we all are, and then being heard, right? It's not being, I don't hear you, but it's being heard, it's being felt, it's being known, it's being all those things. And my husband still struggles a little bit with all those. And so that was my subconscious telling me some pre-tellers, if my husband quits his job because he's in reaction, and like he said to me sometimes, he goes, I'm one bad day away from losing my job. Here's part of the crescendo of part of a novel, right? Because a novel basically is that you get the characters, you get to know the characters. If you read any story, you watch any movie, at the beginning, it's the characters. Like when we first met each other, that was the characters, right? We learned who each other was. And then as the story goes on, those characters change and they go through their different crescendos. And, we've gotten, through times of, different things happening in our life. My parents passing, having kids, selling and buying houses, the changing jobs, having discussions, having arguments, having loving moments, having vacations, going on trips, whatever things are, because sometimes you go on a trip and it's not a vacation. It's those different things that are happening, right? That you have these different things that happen in your book of life. And sometimes you can finish a book and you just start a new one, because sometimes you, like if you're ending a job type of thing and then you're starting a new job, well, that's ending that scenario. If you're leaving your marriage, that's a ending of a book and you're starting a whole new book, even though you have these different characters that keep going forward, like a series, right? And so you have these moments that are coming, but you notice that in a series, there's these crescendos of things happening, and then you get the breath out and you get some relaxation, and then you come back in and back you go back up to learning what you need to do. It's like, oh my, I have my evaluation at work, right? So there's that coming up, that there's a thing. And so then you're coming back down with, oh, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. So there's coming back down of the moment of that thing. It's like, it's kind of like making love after an argument. Sometimes, it's that, coming up and then coming back down. And then we come into, okay, I get why it happens. And, you can watch the Hallmark movies and they have that, and like my husband always says, so is it, they're going to leave them on the train? Are they going to, is it the storm that's keeping them there? Or is it, there's always these things that always happens in the Hallmark movies, and you can be predictable about it. But that's what I like about watching a Hallmark movie. Sometimes it's because it's predictable, but it's like coming into those different moments, and how do you get through them and move through them, right? And that's the thing is that, I really got today in that conversation that I had with myself, as my mind is problem solving all through this, that I really got, oh, okay, I deserve to be heard or seen, heard, and witnessed more than I've ever been before. And we're coming into these moments, and I'm coming back around to where I started. And I'm coming back, and we're coming around into these moments where I know for him, he overthinks things. Okay, that's that Libran energy in him, right? He overthinks things. So Geminis and Libras and Virgos can really think a lot about things. They can overthink things really well, especially that Libran energy. It's about right and wrong, right? And if things hit wrong, and so I'm going to have to let him know that I deserve to be seen. I'm not ready to take on the responsibility of him being a house husband. I'm not. I've gotten myself together. I am better than I've ever been. I know my financial bent. I know things are happening. Thing is, though, I'm sorry. I'm not emotionally ready. I'm not ready for that statement. I'm grateful that he's been that person. Yes, it's been nice that he has made, probably 90% that I make every month. I'm grateful for that. But I'm not ready to take on the 90% when I still make 10%. And so with that I have to be honest with him. So I need him to hear me, right? So see me, hear me, and witness who I am, because of the fact that, I'm a damn good woman. And I understand that you may need to leave your job. I understand that you may need to move on. But that doesn't mean that you become a house husband yet. Right? We're not ready for that moment. So go find another job. Work part-time, do something else, because I need him to hear me. And so that's what that big aha moment was this morning, was that whole ha-ha moment, was that it kind of gave me some like suspenders that I'm tightening up a little bit. So if you're in the moment where you're getting these insights, when you're getting these moments of crescendo moments of, wait a minute, I could have gone down the victimhood. I could have gone down into that moment of what my brain wanted me to do, which was become the victim of not being heard, not being seen, and not being witnessed. Okay. I could have gone down there. But what I'm doing is I'm stepping into empowerment. I'm stepping into empowerment because it's time for me to really honor who I am, that I'm a damn good woman and I'm a damn good wife, and that, he's a damn good husband and he's a damn good man, right? So how can we come into more of an empowerment moment with what is going to be triggered through these months that are coming up? Because we're all in the midst of this big awakening moment, and it's really time to leave our old story. And it's time for me to leave what my brain was telling me in the morning. And that's part of this crescendo of these novels that we're living in our life, right? We're living these moments where we've got a lot of the characters down. And some of these characters, remember in our books sometimes in these books that we are in our life, that we get people who weave in and out of our life, right? We weave these people in and out of our life. And in that weaving of our life that we come into, characters fall out of our book of our life, and then they come back in. And so when you are in the midst of shifting up and shifting into what you're doing, it's about how can we upgrade ourselves. And I know for me that there's many times where I have learned for myself, and this is part of I'm deciding this, that I know that I'm safer than I've ever been in my life, right? I know that I'm calmer than I've ever been in my life. I understand. And I really had a moment, an experience yesterday. And I'm hoping that this helps somebody, okay? That, like yesterday, I went in and I helped this one teacher organize her room a little bit because she moved rooms. And I'm so proud of her. She did a lot herself. And she's, I know it looks chaotic, but this is reading and this is math. So I'm doing better than I ever been, because she would put all of it together and not have reading and math separated. She's doing so good. And I used to really help her organize. And she asked me to do her things. And I noticed I was having problems organizing. My ADHD was having a hard time organizing. Well, before, when I would help her organize, I would hyper focus. But I really observed, I love how life does this for us, that we get chances to self-awareness, right? Witness ourselves, right? And I really noticed that I was having a hard time concentrating. But you know what I got? Maybe I'm safe enough that I don't have to dive down these rabbit holes to find safety in these rabbit holes of hyper focus, right? I can actually just be along for the ride a little bit. And because I've really worked on myself, that no matter what the conversation is, where I'm going in life, what's happening in my life, that I'm safe. My cortisol is safe. My soul is safe. My Natasha part of me is safe. Those parts of me that are my inner child, my dyslexic self, my whatever it is, that I am safe. I've been really practicing that. I am safe. I'm taking down a lot of those personal walls that I've had of being in relationships with people because I want to feel safe. And so with that my brain is able to actually negotiate doing things and not having to worry about being hyper focused down on something. So going into this, that is part of my novel that I'm working on right now, is how am I safe, right? And so things are coming and mirroring at me to see how I'm feeling safe. And then yesterday, and then I had this aha moment this morning of my brain with my personal relationships. I want to honor people with being seen, being heard, and being witnessed, which means flipping that around and asking that of others in my life in some form that they can meet. Not everybody can meet that in the way that I would hope for, but I know that people can meet me where they're at. And that's what I'm going to do. So if somebody can't meet me at that way, then I'm going to only put that energy into it. Because, when somebody doesn't say thank you to me for doing something, why should I always do it for them? Now, I'm kind, so I'm going to do things. That's who I am. But am I going to do more than I should for that person? No. Put into a relationship what they're putting into us. And that's that fine, tricky line, because I'm a giver. I also want to be able to be a receiver. And that's that book that I'm writing right now. That's that portion of that book. That's maybe chapter 56 of my 86 chapter book, right? So going into this, because it's time for me to be seen, heard, and witnessed. And I like how that put. And so if I can give this to you, how do you see yourself in your novel, your book? How do you hear yourself in your novel of your book? How do you get witnessed in your own life? I have a couple of friends of mine or coworkers. I'm friendly with them, and they are having all the same gut issue within reason of their own journey. And it's that ulceral collages. It's where they got the ulceristic tendencies in their gut system, right? And in that's that digestive issue. Well, what are they doing? They're talking about drinking Red Bulls. They're talking about eating McDonald's. They're talking about eating fried foods all the time. They're talking about all these different things. And yet, what is that helping them heal the flora of their gut? Right? Are they willing to have surgery before they're willing to really go in and take mushrooms or do whatever, dandelion tea or whatever it is? Everybody has a different scenario that they can work on, right? On how to get themselves better. I was talking to somebody else about how, she's done a lot of detoxing of her body. I mean, she doesn't look like she's lost any weight, but she looks healthier. She doesn't look all puffy. And like she says, she's gotten rid of that, like when you take on the water and that kind of stuff, because she's really worked on her gut health. And I bet you the weight is going to be what comes next for her, because you have to work on these different layers. And so we're all in this different parts of our novel, of our series, of our book. Yes, life is like a novel. We have characters that come in and out of our life. We have these moments that come in and out of our life. And we feel like that somebody is here. Now, I was just talking with somebody who was on Coast to Coast Radio. She's one of the hosts there. And we've become very interactive in our story. And and she's got these different people that are walking in and out of her life. The characters are changing right now, right? These characters are changing. I have characters that change all the time in my life. And that's the thing is that what are we supposed to do? Now I'm going to go back to my husband changing his job, right? I can't tell him to stay somewhere where he's not happy, but I can tell him in my boundaries, I am not ready to be the sole caretaker financially of our house. So do what you can do to be happy, but I cannot take on the full payments of the house. Not in my budget. It's not in my understanding. At this minute in time, see how I'm changing my language. At this minute and this second in time, I am free from wanting to take on the fullity of that understanding. Now, maybe 5 years from now, 2 years, another month from now, I might be able to, because I'm going to have consistency more in my life. Life has shown me right now, I need to have this boundary. And so there is part of this, how in your book, how things kind of build up to change, right? You get those tellers of change happening. You get these moments of things happening that change is happening, right? The tellers that are happening. These tellers are going to be these things that are happening. And I know you, Veronica, you've been going through these tellers for quite a while, and I haven't talked to you lately, so I'm not caught up on your personal, what is happening in your reality story of lately, because I want to talk with you because I'm your friend. I know things have been kind of busy for me lately, and I know things are busy for you. We're going through this change thing happening. And so going into this, that, with these eclipses and with this story, we've been going through this. And so we had the eclipses back in, what was it, March or April? I think it was March, the March eclipses. We always have them in the spring and then the fall. And so we have these eclipses, and then we have the solstices, right? The spring solstice and the fall solstice, right? Spring equinoxes. The solstices are the summer and the winter. the spring equinox and the fall equinox, right? So we have all these crescendo happenings in the spring, and then you have the other one. Now we had kind of like a bookend of them happening in the spring. We had this one thing that we were working on, but I can tell you probably a lot of the things that you're working on in the spring are showing back up now in the understandings that are happening with these eclipses that are happening right now because of how things circle back around. Okay, so there again, we had one novel book that was happening in the spring. Now we're having the series that is happening now, right? That we're reevaluating things. Because I can tell you my wedding anniversary is part of the spring equinox energy. And so we're always building up to something, right? We're building up to something. And we are in year 23 right now, so that equals a 5, right? So that's all that energy coming in. And so how can we stir things into a new understanding and into a new idea, processing through some of this energy that is showing back up this fall equinox, this understanding of this fall story of how are we going to do this. So now I'm hoping that I've gotten better insights. I'm hoping that my husband has gotten better insights so we can process through these energies, because I love him. I love him more than he ever thinks I do, right? Because his story is his, mine is mine. And so with that, and he loves me. I know. And we've been together for 32 years. Like he says, sometimes I wonder why we stay together. We're so different. But I know that somebody has greater power than we do for keeping us together, right? And so how can you rewrite your story? How can you rewrite the understandings, right? Just like all the Hallmark movies, right? Most of the time, the reason why relationships don't work out is because of fear. Most of the movies there's a moment where relationships don't work out because of fear of the understanding of things going forward. So I want to invite for you that fear, anxiety, hi Paula, all these different understandings, right? These moments of this anxiety feeling, that's going to be stirred up through these eclipses. You have a possibility. I never want to tell you what you should be feeling, because that's your truth. I want to give you the honor of presenting that these are just ideas for you, right? So how can you persevere through some of these anxiousness, misunderstandings, the valueness of who you are? And because it's about this. So like taking the downloads I was getting this morning, right? These downloads. Well, there's going to be a personal conversation we're going to have because there was more insights. I'm not going to go into those details. It's not for me to say a lot of this live or on social media, because that's our personal relationship. But what I can say is that in that moment of being seen and witnessed, is that it's time for us really to step out of our fear and the anxiousness and step into, you know what? I can honor the way you're feeling. I can honor the way that I'm feeling. I can honor that it's like meet people where they're at. I know that for me, going back to school, that I'm going to have to meet people where they're at. I can't tell them what they should be feeling. Now, I know that I learned some boundaries at the end of the year last year. I feel like I'm going to have them still within reason, even though that person maybe has learned some experiences. Because I need to make sure that I'm safe, right? I need to make sure that I'm safe. I'm put on my list. I am seeing myself. I am hearing myself. I am witnessing myself, because that's what part of this eclipse energy is bringing us back to self, which means that when we bring ourselves back to self, it helps us move forward. It helps us move into partnerships better. It helps us move into these other things. And I can tell you, I had a conversation with somebody else yesterday, and she said that, you know what? I don't have to control everything. I'm learning I don't have to control everything. And that's one thing we were talking about this other person, that she's learning the same thing, that she doesn't have to control everything, that she doesn't have to have everything the way that she wants it. And she said to the other person I was talking to, she says, you know what her husband said? You need to keep going to counseling because I'm liking the woman that you're telling Miss no. You're telling us I'm not going to cook tonight. I'm tired. That you can do it. Girls, my kids who are now almost adults, you can cook dinner. I don't have to cook dinner for everybody. Putting ourselves on the list is a healthy thing. It doesn't mean that we have to be selfish, though. It means that there's a balance between you and me. I see you. I hear you. I'm witnessing you. I see me. I hear me. I witness me. I ask you to see me. I ask you to hear me. I'm asking you to witness me. And we can do that in all relationships. It doesn't matter if you're black, white, purple, pink, or inside or out. Now, we have to understand that statement is we have to meet people where they're at. Some people can't see us or can't witness us and hear us, but they can see us. They can take a first glance and they can see us. And that's what we need to do for them. Be kind, be balanced, be centered in ourselves. And I made a statement earlier about how I find myself being more neutral lately. That I'm not necessarily riled up from this, or I'm not riled up from that, right? And that has a plus and a minus to it, right? That, it's like sometimes when I'm in neutrality, I'm not available as much. I'm kind of in my own world. So it's like when somebody wants to talk to me, I have to say, can you just say, Natasha, hey, da 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 da, or say, hey, I have, what do you think about da 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 da? Bring some first words in to get my attention, because I'm in neutrality. I'm not trying to discredit that you're in the same room with me, right? And that's that negative side of it, is sometimes I go into my own world and I'm not connected with the people that are in the room with me. And I want to shift that up. So I am neutral with awareness. Differently. Now, I'm talking about the end of the day when I'm done with what's been happening, right? I'm done with what's been happening. So I'm at the end of the day. And I need to carry myself a little bit more further to the end of the day. I can't just jump off ship of the day's reality at 6 o'clock. I need to carry it on just a little bit more, because that's the way I am. I'm very aware of things. I witness a lot of things. I'm in the midst of a lot of different things. The thing is, though, it is about trusting that process. Okay. Does this make sense to anybody? I would love to hear what you're thinking about this, because, we are in the midst of big uproars of changes. Like my spiritual room, it got shifted up a lot, right? It got shifted up a lot. My front room got shifted up a lot. I got a new bed. The only thing I haven't, and I had a garage sale. My garage is cleaned out now. I haven't put things back like I want to. I'm going to probably do that tomorrow morning, hopefully. I'm finally settling things, right? I'm finally settling things because things needed to shift up. My desk that was in here moved into the other room, right? So I ended up changing up my bookcase here. I ended up changing up my little gnome guys that were there, the starbeam guys. They want to be moved by the window instead of being over here. It's like, oh God, that was, talk about amazing. Boy, when they moved over there, talking with my fairies over here, right? So if you're listening to this in YouTube, or on podcast, I'm talking about my fairy corner and then my star beings. And then I brought a plant down from upstairs, and it actually told me today that it kind of likes being, this plant here actually likes being down here. The energy is different, and it likes the aliveness, and it actually opened up a little bit, right? It likes the aliveness. But this part of the room glowed when they started talking. Oh, I had to walk out for a little while because the energy was so much for where I was at. So when you're coming into life and when you're doing things, I would love to hear a comment how somebody is feeling about life and going forward. And I'm going to come into a channeling. I said that I was going to channel today. That it's still glowing. I agree. It's glowing. Now I have lights on here, but I agree that it's like the Fae. The Fae love. Gosh, the conversations. Let's go play. And I told them if they want to play, they can go outside and play. I actually have in my amethyst here, I actually asked for a doorway energetically to come in so that they can go in and out of this house, because of the fact that when you have this much energy, I don't know if you can see it. I'm going to try to bring those that are watching. I'm going to try to bring this a little bit closer here. But if you have this much energy coming into this house, it's like, yeah, it's a little much. It can be a little bit much. And so I had my friend who helps out. I talked about this last time, but I'm still in that moment. That change is a good thing. Understandings are a good thing. Getting these self-awarenesses is a good thing. The thing is, though, when change happens, we get stirred up. We get a moment where things aren't always the way we want them. We wish things could be. I wish that I could have a novel where we have some like calmness right now. I'm not sure when calmness is going to come for the future. We've got to get through some of this breakthrough stuff. And we have enough people. We have enough people who are trying to stay in the 3D low vibration of trauma drama, instead of working through understanding that trauma drama happens in our life and how can we have the perspective to work through it. Once we find that balance, once we find that understanding, and more people are moving into the bigger awarenesses, we will move into that, the governmental changes and that kind of stuff. So thank you very much, Kim, for saying that. Moving into that understanding. And it's not necessarily that we're not moving. We are moving. But I feel like if somebody was willing to get on the treadmill, like I was at this one show that I went to, and people had the choice of stairs or escalator. It didn't matter how you got there. It's your choice how you get there. But, people chose the escalator, which was perfect for them. I understand for me that if I chose an escalator, that's a harder ride for me because it triggers my vertigo. Really triggers my vertigo. And I can't do life when my vertigo is, and I knew I had to go into a coliseum. I had to go up and down. I didn't need my vertigo. So I chose the stairs, which the stairs are easy for me, right? And so it's that moving forward into that energy, that you find the way that is easiest for you. What happened last night? Was it a giant shift? I feel like I had a huge release. Yes, it was. And that's the thing is that we are already feeling the energy shift of the eclipses right now. We're feeling, and if we move through those energy shifts, which they're going to happen different for everybody, and one person's going to feel this shift, another person's going to feel another shift, and they might not feel every shift. But I can tell you the insights. I had a hard time staying awake last night. It was all I can do to stay awake. I wanted to sleep at 6 o'clock last night. I could have slept through the night. It was very heavy for me energetically. And I'm glad that you feel great, Veronica. Yay. I feel great too. I have a lot of energy today, but that's not moving through that energy field that we're going through. But I think this is a good time to get some insights. Who wants to come in? Because we need to get another perspective here. Jesus? Is it Mother Mary? I felt it like it was going to be one of you two. Okay, it's going to be Mother. It's going to be Mother. So here I go. Okay, so remember when I channel, it's your perspective is your perspective. If you believe it happens or not, that's up to you. But please listen to the words because there might be some language for you that might be helpful. And that's that whole thing that, your truth is your truth, but the perspective might be something you can put in your back pocket. And so with that, and then I'm going to pull some oracle cards towards the end. I'm not too sure of the timing. I have a meeting that I need to go through right after, so it depends on how much Mother Mary, says that she's going to be talking. Okay, so give me a second here as I bring her in. Thank you very much for being here with me. I'm so grateful that you guys are here, and I'm hoping that you find yourself love. Oh, dear ones, you have come through so much in your stories and your novels and your understandings of who you are and all that is coming forward. It's really time for you to step into this next layer, this next understanding, this next belief, this next evolution of the growth of who you are. And that's one thing that, we have come into is that, you may be hearing a lot of old truth coming forward of when my son was here. And a lot of those things that were misunderstood. Like my partner, Mary Magdalene, she has Margarita, she has been part of awakening a lot of this feminine energy. And I, Mary, a lot of the truths that men lied about me has been coming out. But I was not a virgin. I was of love with a man who had children. And Jesus had brothers and a sister. And they had not really been talked about because men wanted me to be only what they perceived me to be. And that is the evolution that is breaking apart right now, is concepts of the old to create the new understandings. Yesterday's beliefs are tomorrow's hindrances. Yesterday's untold understandings and beliefs are tomorrow's greater visions. Do you see how, and when I'm saying that, now there's old beliefs that can be very much wisdom to be the blessing. I'm not clarifying all that has happened. That is all negative. There is many things that are great. There are many things that have been very much a blessing. So come forward into that. I am not speaking of all. I am speaking of specifics. And that's that thread images that you can have that will be helpful. Do not take the bag. Take the individual threads of the bag and shift that up. Sometimes it is like hemming a dress, this wonderful one, thought of hemming a dress. Sometimes it's just flipping that hem up so that it's just a little shorter. It doesn't mean that you're changing the whole dress. You're just shifting up the hem. So come for yourself. Be blessed for yourself. Be the understanding of yourself. Because as you come home more into your rhythm of who you are and believing in who you are, discerning your truth to be flexible but yet truthful for yourself, that you will be a strength for you. And as you go forward, that helps others to understand that you are a strength and that it's not about falling into harmfulness for others' beliefs. It is time really for you to believe that your miracles are happening. The only thing that is negative is your own perception. Things are happening around you for you to be the greater you. Your own concepts are the thing that make it negative. Do you understand? As we come forward, and I do feel like you do, many of you have these understandings that these old triggers, oh, I love that word trigger. Those old triggers can be something that make you stop. Triggers are meant to stop. Help you stop and think. Why does this disempower me? Why does this empower me? Because there are positive triggers and there are not so positive triggers. Why does it disempower me? Why does it empower me? Ask the question. Then interact with it as you go. When you come into this understanding, the climax of the story, of your crescendo moment, of this amazing moment where music is happening and these big aha moments are coming forward, many a times, that's why I love those Hallmark movies. They're so amazing because if you'll notice, it comes back to love. It always comes back to love. Everything comes back to love. That grace in life, that love. Do you witness how when we come back into understanding and that greater understanding, love is the result? So come into that love moment for yourself. When something is triggering, how can you find love for self through that moment? Believe in who you are, because you are coming through a major shift on this planet. It's going to be huge in who you are and what you do. And it's time for you to not overthink the trigger moment, to be able to hear and witness where are you supposed to go from here. Breathe. Be at peace. Find, as the Still One says, a neutrality in the moment so that you can get the perspective of the witnessing of the reality around you. Because when you see the trigger, hear the understanding of it, and witness where you're supposed to go for it. And you wonder why we were talking to her this morning. It's time for you to understand life is changing in front of you. And what are you going to do with it? The scenarios are all individual in how you're walking through it. Everybody will have a different scenario, a different perspective in that statement. You have 10 children in a family. Each one has a different perspective and a different reason why they love their mother and love their father, or the opposite. One person can love their parents to the end of this earth. Another will not even want to talk with them, right? Because each one has a different perspective. So if we honor those things about different perspectives, but yet have boundaries with them, you will find the rhythm of this balance. So remember, the mind would like to have that inspiration. This dear one has not said this, but she understood the difference between the mind telling her something, the inspiration of having insights being downloaded to her, and also how to process through them so that she can be a better person, more enlightened one for her family around her. Yes, family, her friends, her co-workers, the people she drives on the road with, the people she interacts with, the ones she lives with, you know, and even the little pussycat that came to the door and kept her husband slightly awake, wanting the attention even though she could not come into the house. The one that was yelling at this dear one and then saw her and came running when she came out to get the garbage because she was told to go fix the garbage can. That, you know, she petted and petted and petted and petted, but yet she let the cat pet her because this cat gets overstimulated. She is not meant for the deep love. She's not meant for that deep connection. But she's meant to have that energy field. And this dear one really felt the energy shift yesterday. So she needed the companionship of the people of this house. So this dear one was willing to let the cat pet her, rub up against her. And then she touched one more time. She did not fault the cat for scratching out. She did say, though, you asked me to pet you. You needed to accept it if you wanted it. You didn't need to tell me that way, scratch me, to tell me to stop. That's the tone she used. Hold the intention that you can. Hold the value that you can in yourself. And most of all, please look in the mirror and say, I love you and you're doing a good job. Because that's what's going to be important. I love you, my dear family. I love you with all my love and being. And the grace that I ask you to have for yourself. Because miracles are happening right now on your planet. And it's time to hone into them and tap into them. And good job feeling the shift of things releasing. Because it's really time to believe that. Ah, Mary, Mother Mary, Mother of the world, would love to say, I love you. Wow. Ask if Mother Magdalene channels. Yes, she does. She does. She's been channeling through others, and I might actually ask her to channel through me one of these times. Yeah, she's amazing. Ooh, she's a very empowered woman. Oh, she walked with Jesus and was his partner, right? Was one of the disciples. Yes. Okay, so what time is it? 50. Oh, I have time for a few cards. I have time for a few cards. I'm not going to be reading tonight. I'm going to do my Wisdom of Oracle cards. Does anybody want a card? Yes, for you too. I knew you, Veronica. And so I will start with you and then whoever asks next and then after that. So it's the Wisdom of Avalon cards. I love these cards. Okay. And Paula, then it'll be you. Okay. And Kim, yes. Hi, Diane. How are you? You're more than welcome. Okay, so first Veronica. And when I ask you, when it's your turn, remember it's just intention. Just put out the intention of what, that you would like the best card for you, for the message that you would like to have. Okay. So dear Deer is upside down, and deer is about being gentle for yourself. Hi, Jessica. Yes. So Veronica, you are doing a good job. Now, I can tell that the people around you aren't always being gentle with you. That's part of this card, is being gentle. So even though you want to be gentle, not everybody's gentle with you. So it's about turning this around and getting a different vision. Remember that a lot of times deer stop and they pay attention to what's going on around them to get, should they run or should they not? And so remember, it's time for you to be really observant, because the vibration around you may not always be the best for you. And so how can you discern yourself? Become witness of the world around you so that you can find that balance. There's one more card that wants to, oh, this one, dog. So remember, who are you loyal to? Who is your loyalty to yourself? Sometimes it's balance between loyal to yourself as well as loyal to others. Okay, so be careful. Remember, how are you being seen? How are you being heard? How are you being witnessed? Will tell you how much effort to put into people. Because sometimes we can put too much effort into somebody and they're not willing to give it back, right? So loyalty. Does that make sense, my dear? I hope so. And remember, if a card is pulled for somebody else and it rings true for you, this is universal. So, I'm going to pull a personal card for you. But if you're later listening to this as a podcast and not, that remember, cards being pulled for specific people, they can ring true for everybody, right? Okay, so Paula, this one's for you. This for Paula. Woo! Woo! I like how these cards fall out. Oh, okay. So here's your card first that fell out, was wealth. You have a lot of wealth coming to you, in the sense of, it may be in financial, it may be in abundance of, you getting just your community around you, but you have a lot of wealth coming to you. Your land is accepting you. Things are moving forward for you. You're finding your fullity, because it's about finding that peace inside yourself. And sometimes you got to stop and see the witnessing around you, see what's happening. Be the person who is willing to stop and ask for assistance in finding the wealth and where that's happening around you, because you got the wealth card, and that wealth card is a 34, so that's a 7. The nightingale is a 6, so it's about finding that. And remember, the nightingale is, so the statement around the nightingale is romance, illusions, and seeking the sacred. So be careful of the illusions, because as you come back to centering yourself, the illusions will fall away so you can find your wealth. Okay, I hope that helps, Paula. Okay, so the next one is Kim. How are you, Kim? I hope you're doing well. Okay, so Kim, this is your turn. Okay, for Kim. Okay, so this one, ooh, okay, I'm gonna be careful about how I show. That card flew out. Okay. So you got the spider. So that is about, what web are you going to weave? What understanding? I had one that dropped down in my front room or my kitchen today, and I pulled it outside, but I got the message about how can you, oh, it was off the light. So that light coming down. So how can I bring the light back into the knowings of what's coming to me? So look at where spider comes into your life. The messages that they are for you, Kim, because spider is going to be a great messenger for you right now about what new web you want to weave. What is the new understandings that you're bringing in? What do you want to catch? Right now it's spider community. Spider community is putting webs up everywhere. It's almost like, when you see spiders around the holiday or around the fall, it's like that first mist of frost. You see all the spider webs, because it's a shimmering time, right? Because it's time for us to find our empowerment through the webs that we have to walk in life, right? So Queen is about women, fertility, feminine power, sexuality, and friendship. So remember, sexuality is not necessarily, it could be, I feel good today. Oh my gosh, I feel sexy today. You know, I feel empowered. My feminine power is involved right now, right? So hone into that empowerment as you weave your new webs. I'm not showing the spider because a lot of people don't like spiders. That new web of the spider that you want to have, right? That spider web that you want to bring in, because you're empowered, girl. You're empowered. Okay, so Diane, hi, how are you? So glad you're here. Okay, so this card is, okay, so this is for Diane. You're more than welcome, Kim. Woo! Woo! The same cards came out. So I'm going to honor you and bring different cards in, but that same story, right? That same story came in for you, Diane, that, you know, it's about being empowered and what web you want to weave. Okay, so I'm going to bring out, that was funny because I was okay. Did you see that? Okay, so Diane, it's about that letting go of the restrictions as you're weaving your new web, because the forgiveness that we need to have. I've kind of come up with some words. Sometimes things aren't forgivable, but I'm finding a neutrality so I can walk by it. Right? I'm finding that neutrality. So that forgiveness, that self-forgiveness, because communication is huge right now as you're weaving the new web of the spider. Because the masculine empowerment, we all have masculine and feminine in us, but it's really time to find that balance of the giving and the receiving, the support and who we are, that standing our empowerment with our boundaries, right? Boundaries are a positive thing. They're very empowering for us. So pride and leadership. So remembering that it's not about speaking loud, but it's about speaking in strength and in, I have the understanding, okay? Because you're on that journey of forgiveness and that you're done with the restrictions of the old patterns of what you're doing, because the king was next on the deck. And so with that, that's that man authority, man sexual energy, things pertaining to law and justice. So remembering it's about that fine line between that strength and of who we are and the feminine. And the feminine and the masculine are coming together. That's what Mary Magdalene wants to bring in, is that empowerment of woman while she stood with Jesus. Right, that masculine and feminine. And that's that message that she's bringing in, is that it's about that balance of masculine and feminine to bring the message of love and light together. Okay, I hope that helps. Let's see who else. Oh, Jessica. I knew there was one more. And then I'm going to have to go to a meeting. Oh, the balance of realities, right? Okay, so this one's for you, Jessica. Thank you for being here. I'm so grateful. So I'm hoping your grief is walking through and the people around you, and I hope your brother is doing well. He just tapped in, because the novice of the brother and everything, and the dark wisdom that you're finding is so empowering for those around you. You got this. So you have the novice, innocence, beginner, ignorance, new skill without practice, unstable curiosity. It's a 5 card. And the raven is magic, coincidences, synchronistic events. So remembering that you're not necessarily the novice, but you have a lot of people who are novice about the wisdom that's coming to them in their grief and then their story in your family. So this is not about them, but it's about you. You are a strength, but remember to put yourself on the list of the grief, okay? Because you're not the novice, but you have the wisdom, but then other people around you are the novice, but they have also wisdom that they're giving, okay? Hi, Diane. Thank you. You're welcome. Okay, you have one more card that's coming. My dear. Okay, so 2 more cards. So you have the deer and then the wasps. So in grief, there's a lot of anger and frustration. So be careful of their anger tapping on you. There's a lot of frustration and anger probably in the new wisdom that's coming through, of things, insights that are coming through, wisdom that's coming through, of like sometimes when we're going through these insights, there's wisdom that I didn't know that story. I didn't know what happened. I didn't know that was in the house. I didn't know, things get uncovered and then anger happens. So be careful, be gentle with the wasp energy of anger and frustration, because we got to be gentle with ourselves as we're coming into these new knowings. I hope that was helpful. And I do pray that, because these two cards were upright again, which is the wealth and the focus. So focus, this is a card for everybody. So as we focus, what do we focus on? Can either bring in the wealth or not. So remembering that we can go down our rabbit holes, or we can find the wisdom and say, this is a new boundary for me, or this is a new understanding for me. So I'm Natasha Venter, intuitiveclarifications.com. Would love to assist you in your life's journey. I do pray that I know that I've worked with every one of you, and I'm praying that as you come forward in your life, that I pray that I was helpful for you. And please remember that you are so loved. Please follow if you haven't followed yet. Please like this video and share it if you know somebody who can use it. And remember that you are a blessing. So as you go forward in this realities, remember that these times, there's going to be a lot of things that we get downloaded and thinking about. Remember who's downloading, who's thinking, and how much empowerment do we have with it. Blessed you, everyone, and remembering life is about the journey, the story. How do we negotiate it? Step out of the anxiety and the fear and step into understandings. And I need to think about it for a moment. Blessed be to you. I'm Natasha Venter, intuitiveclarifications.com.